The views and opinions expressed in the following podcast do not necessarily reflect those of the producers, the affiliates, or digital platforms hosting this podcast. All content is for the purposes of education, conjecture, and at times entertainment. We promote inclusiveness and diversity. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Into the Deep with Jay Costa.
Sacred texts from the three prevalent monotheistic belief systems of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam talk of an afterlife. Followers of these faiths believe life after death has been promised by their creator, or they face divine judgment based on their actions or beliefs during life. Buddhists' belief in reincarnation is based on the tradition that the Buddha remembered his past lives when he reached enlightenment. The ancient Egyptians' attitude towards death was influenced by their belief in immortality. They regarded death as a temporary interruption rather than the cessation of life. A recent study from Arizona State University and the University of Wyoming has found that beliefs about the afterlife even predicted how people value and practice sustainability. So, what happens to us after we pass? Since he was a child, Mark Christopher Nelson has seen and heard spirits. Mark originally became aware of his psychic abilities after the sudden passing of his father when he was 11. Early in his development, Mark only received messages from his father, and over time helped him understand that he could use his abilities to help other people connect with their loved ones on the other side. Mark has appeared on ABC's 2020, Ghost Adventures, and Paranormal Witness, as well as Ghost Hunters, Haunted History, and he works as a psychic medium for clients that call from China, Canada, Mexico, Europe, and all across the United States. So, join us as we seek light and journey into the deep with Mark. Enjoy. Mark Christopher Nelson, thank you so much for doing this.
Hey Jay, it's fun to be here, and I'm looking forward to speaking to your listeners, and hopefully we'll have some fun tonight.
Absolutely. For those who are tuning in and listening, could you give us an introduction to who you are and what you do?
Of course, my name is Mark Christopher Nelson. I use my middle name not because I'm full of myself, but you have any idea how many Mark Nelsons are out there? It's like saying I'm John Smith. All right, no one will ever find me. I might as well just disappear. So by Mark Christopher Nelson. I'm a psychic medium. I've been doing this work, going on 25 years or so. And I didn't plan on becoming a psychic medium. It kind of found me. And so I think it's been the most rewarding journey of my life. It's changed me, and it's given me the opportunity to help a lot of people, I think.
That's awesome. I absolutely love that. And I agreed, when you do do a search for Mark Nelson and only Mark Nelson, you will see a myriad of posts and things of all different people. So
people in the Australian military, Mark, an actor named Mark. Now you can find just probably all kinds of unsavory people named Mark Nelson. Well, I hope not to be associated with them.
Right. Hence the use of Christopher.
Christopher, yes.
Well,
absolutely.
I love it.
well, Jay, I can tell you, it started me. I mean, I realized I was psychic when I was a little kid. If you want to start there,
yeah.
Well, it started out with a tragedy in my life. When I was 11, my dad went into New York City, and he was a victim of a crime, and he never came home. He was killed at work or on his way back from work, and so. We saw Dad in the morning, and then we didn't see him again. And then about a month after his funeral, I'm out raking leaves, trying to make believe that life is okay, normal. And I look up and I see Dad standing in our driveway, and I just think, all right, this is not what I'm used to. It's like it really. I don't know how what an 11-year-old says. Am I losing my mind? But I was thinking, am I going crazy because I mean, we're raised Catholic. You're supposed to do this, kneel, stand, follow what the priest says, and so this was outside of that. And I saw him and I was just like, Dad, I don't know, I think you're dad, but I'm not ready for it. He was just being smiling and benevolent and kind, and he went away. And then I'm at school and I see him again out a window, and I'm thinking, all right, I'm really losing my mind. I mean, people called me a little daydreamer when I was a kid. And now I think it's because I was like noticing other people that weren't supposed to be there, but they always say, "Oh, you're such a daydreamer." It's like, well, I'm seeing other things, as it turns out, as I look at it as an adult at it. So I told Dad, "Please go away. I'm not ready for this." And then flash forward 20 years. I'm out taking a walk after a busy day. I work as a writer in advertising. I mean, have different level titles, whatever. But I mean, I write. And so I'm needing to clear my head at the end of the day. My wife and I just moved to St. Louis. We had a little girl. We're trying to have a life. And then I'm just thinking, I wish Dad could have met my wife, Barb, could have seen our daughter. And I heard this voice in my head very clearly say, I have met them. It's like, all right, is this what the onset of schizophrenia is like? It's like, what am I dealing with here? What is this? And so it's like I'm having a spirited conversation with this voice in my head saying, all right, if you're really Dad, tell me something I don't know. And the voice told me that my brother Glenn was surrounded by green ivy and white walls. So I called my mom, who's back in LA, and I say, hey, had a crazy dream about Glenn. I saw him surrounded by green ivy and white walls. She goes, that's so funny. He just got a job at a place called the Green Ivy, and they have green ivy, white walls, and it's like, oh
my gosh,
what a coincidence. What an oddity. Okay, so I went out and took another walk and wanted to see if I could hear that voice, and I got other messages, validated them, but making phone calls to family, and then I decided to figure out, is this just family, or did they tell me something? Did I hear from someone? I forget. I need to go someplace where I don't know anybody or anything about the people in the place to see if this works. I went into this little psychic bookstore, and at this bookstore, I said, I think I'm psychic. Can I try reading somebody? It's kind of like stumbling into just I don't know what I'm doing, help me. And so I did, and the manager said, well, you can try to read me. And then I just kind of relaxed for a minute, and I said, it feels like you have a son, and that your son got beat up by some other guys, and that he literally had to take a few days off from school because he took such a beating, and that your father's there with him. They're, yes. Okay, wow. Would you like to work for us? It was just kind of like, oh, that worked. For lack of better vernacular,
right?
For lack of, and so I started reading for people, and then I started to realize how I can use this ability, this gift, and that, I mean, how do I benefit people? What do people really need to hear?
Right.
And people will often come to me with readings, and they think they know what they need to hear. And I'll say, I always ask when I do a reading, may I tell you what I hear first? And then you may ask any questions you like, because I don't need to be led. I don't have to ask leading questions, because it just, it kind of gets in the way. I mean, it can get in the way. There are other times where I have clients that I've read for on multiple occasions, and they know things, and it's more like, I need to know this. What do you hear about this? And we've already established, a connection.
Right. And
so I'll say, okay, all right, that name doesn't work. Okay, this, or I'll just say, just give me a minute. Let me get to this. And then, we would just cool your jets, and then we'll do it. And then other people, just please, let's go here. And I know, we have a limited amount of time, and I want to address certain things. Okay. So but I like to go like 95% of the time, I'm just saying, let me get it out, and then we can talk. All right. And so from doing that, I started to think I could only read for people in person. And then I realized, I can read for people someone said, "You want to try the phone?" And it scared the hell out of me because it's like,
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know. Let's try it.
Take it for a spin.
Let's do a face plant. I'm doing a face planting into psychic mediumship. Wham!
The proverbial nesty
but it
plunge.
worked. It's like rather than hitting face on concrete, I kind of like, caught myself. That kind of worked when I kind of get out of the way. It's like put your fears over there, put them in a box, put that concern over there, and just roll. And so that's how I began to do this. And I even have I'm going to joke with myself, like if I get in front of a lot of people or I'm in a unique situation, I basically have a little conversation with myself. And it's, again, a little borderline schizophrenia, but no, I'll say it's like, hey, Mark, you're bothering me. Go have a drink, wait in the bar. We'll catch up go back, watch something on TV, just go away for a little while. And now I can do my work. And so it's about peeling off the id. It's about peeling off your self-consciousness and just kind of moving forward and then allowing God, spirit, whatever vernacular you want to use, the universe, it all applies. And then I just try to convey the messages I receive. And it's been working. Like I said, it's funny. It's like I realized I could read for people on TV, and then someone said, "You want to read in front of like an audience, like a group of people?" It's like, sure, let's try that too. So it's like, it's like I don't know what I can do with this until I do it.
Right.
And so I ended up getting a chance. I've now the biggest group I've read for. There were 2 other mediums on stage, but I was it was our audience. We could basically take turns reading the audience, but I was in front of 800 people, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And doing platform reading in front of a large group like that is like crowd surfing, like you've never done before. It really is wild. And I realized that there are people standing up, and it's just like, I don't know how this is going to work, but I'm just going to let it come through me. And there's a guy I'm seeing over here. Okay, I'm seeing this person here. And I just, try not to get in the way, and spirit helps me. Without spirit working through me, I'm just a guy with a dumb look on my face. Truly.
Stop.
It comes through. I just gotta get out of the way, Mark. Go relax. Go have fun. Talk to yourself. Whatever. We're gonna do. Try to be of service.
Wow.
And so that's how I do this. And from doing that, I've had a chance to do TV shows. I've had a chance to do paranormal investigating from people in the audience. I mean, like I said, it's almost like it's one thing great about spirit and working with spirit is that you don't really know where it's going to take you. I mean, I thought about writing. I may end up still writing a book. I had a book started, but I was just too busy doing readings. And I just kind of like, I'm just going to keep doing readings because it's, the book would help at a certain point, but I'm too kind of busy to get to it yet. And then doing the shows is kind of fun and interesting. It's almost like figuring out other ways to, whatever your favorite thing is, can I do it in this environment? Can I do it here? Will spirit be with me here if I'm still focused and connected? So, and what I would say, Jay, is that I'm sure you talk to a lot of people, and I would just say that the one thing I would encourage anyone who's wondering about their own psychic ability is that don't edit it, let it come through, and be a little patient with yourself. And I say this a lot: I reserve the right to be wrong. I reserve because any psychic is, I'm 100% psychic, and then you're full of crap. Even really, I watch people, and I've been fortunate enough to be around some people I really admire, and they don't get everything right. And you know what it is like once you kind of take yourself off that little hook where it's like, if I say anything wrong, I'm not valid. Well, it's like I feel very blessed that I'm valid quite a bit of the time. And also too, it's like, Jay, if you and I are sitting in a coffee shop and I told you something, and then you turn around and try to tell someone else, even in a face to face in human, in close proximity, the telephone game
Hmm.
has it's revealing. It's like I hear something from someone in spirit, and then I convey it, and I can be really close or right on, or I'm surprised. I love being surprised because the idea that I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I can't even imagine that. I mean, I embrace the moment, and I'm hearing it about I'm aware of what I'm saying as I say it. It's not like
Mm.
I've memorized lines for a theater production and I know exactly the inflection I'm going to use here. It's like, it's
Mm.
nothing like that. I just get up and, okay, all right, there's someone here. I see them there. And then I let them take over. So they're showing me things. I mean, so I've been rambling for a bit. So,
No, this is great.
but it's just fun. It's like, and I encourage people that if they want to do this, to learn to find that other voice in their head
Mm.
and to trust it. And that also too, I tell people that spirit, the universe, God is going to use whatever you bring to the table. Let's say you're a very musical guy, or you're really good at sketching or drawing. The universe, spirit, God will use all of those talents of yours to bring forth messages that you need to convey. I mean, it can come through music, it can come through art, singing, and but it's you just it's good. Your talents will be utilized in the most effective way possible, and I believe that because spirit is is wonderful, and I'm so glad to rely on it.
Love that. Oh my gosh, I love it. And
Um,
so, do you? I guess if you don't mind, you know,
Whatever you want.
delving in, you feel as a conduit of sorts, right? And you were talking about, putting the book that you're authoring on hold. Do you
Yeah.
ever try and tap into spirit to see if it's the right time or look for
Oh,
your
all
own?
the time,
Yeah.
all the time. I get it in the back of my head. I mean, here's the one thing is I think that anyone that is wondering about their disability, um, you can control it.
Mm.
It's not like I really have very little patience for people who say, I can't control the psychic part of my mind. Oh, poor me. Like, give it a rest.
Mm.
Grow up, figure out how to use this. You've been given a talent. Learn how to control it. Someone gives you beautiful a pony. Here's a great pony. What are you going to do with the pony? You're going to let the pony kick you in the butt and wander around and mess things up? No, you're going to learn how to ride the pony.
Mhm.
you know so that's what I would say, and so learn how to manage this. And one of the things I do recommend very much is meditating,
Mm.
learning how to control where your mind goes. Okay, so in meditation, it's important that you learn how to quiet your mind and to find a little peace, a little solitude in here, because it's in that uh, silence that you can begin to hear voices. You can begin to hear the messages that you're supposed um, to deliver, to convey, or to receive for myself. It's like, I wonder, what am I supposed to be doing here or there? Is this the right time for the book? I mean, um, I do. I give messages to my wife, to myself. I write notes. Also, too, when I'm doing readings for other people, I sometimes recognize, oh, that's for me. Okay, duly noted. You know.
Mm.
So, um, so let's see. I mean, anyone that and so if you want to develop your psychic ability, if you want to tap into it, um, learn to find that silence. And it's very simple, I think. Or you can start out making it simple. If I know a lot of people that say, Jay, I can't meditate, I don't know how to quiet my head. I said, well, I don't know how those people can do it for hours and end. I said, I'm not sure either. Why don't you try doing it for 30 seconds,
Mhm.
15 seconds? Pay attention to your breathing. Let yourself relax, unwind, loosen up your shoulders. You know, take a walk and just be present. Really, to me, um, what meditation does is helps you become present in the moment that you're there, so that in the event that spirit does come to you, you can be in a position to hear the message
Mm.
and to be relaxed with the message, and then to grasp what its intention is and what you're supposed to do. That's a lot of it, you know. I'm sure there are people that teach, take lessons, and do all these. I mean, the other thing with meditation is don't try hard, try easy.
Hmm.
Let yourself kind of slide into it. This isn't supposed to be an arduous thing. I call it my 7-minute vacation.
Hmm.
I do take a little brief vacation from worrying about, did I pay the phone bill? Do I have a deadline coming up? Who's up next? All of this stuff that we all deal with, you know?
Yeah.
So to think of it as just a little break for you where you're not worried about the stuff that gives you anxiety, helps you feel stressed, makes you doubt yourself. Just be in the moment. And then you can start to hear answers that would help you in turn answer those questions. You know, why am I feeling anxious today? It's like, what is this unnamed thing that is making me feel very irritable? I'm I I need to be a little quiet in order to sort that out.
Hmm.
And then in that quiet, you start to get useful messages. And then you can get other things that, like say for my clients. I mean, really, the I'll get a little quiet, I'll relax. I light a candle.
Hmm.
Got it, just one, and I just kind of look at it and let my head. The idea too is if you focus on one thing versus everything, you're kind of on your way into a meditative state, and you can meditate without a candle. If you want to breathe, if you're breathing, pay attention to your breath.
Right.
Be quiet. And if your audience knows this, I'll just, and you know this. It's just that's been my process and a lot of my learning.
Hmm.
So it's been fun. And like I said, you never know where it's going to take you. You know, Jay? I mean, I'm sure you've talked to other psychics and other people that I love the title Going Deep. I think it's very interesting. Very interesting.
Thank you very much.
Something you want to ask me about or
Yeah. I guess, can it be challenging at times if you're feeling open to spirit as a conduit? Can it be challenging at times? And do you ever experience a myriad of not voices, but messages, or out of a lack of better terms, like frequencies or things that are happening and infiltrating your mind?
well, one thing I do recommend before, and it's a great question. Um, I try to, I'll say a prayer. I kind of like get used to hearing that one voice in my head. I also, too, in order to um, get the messages to a place where I can understand them, I often write because
Hmm.
writing kind of slows. If you're yelling at people, I mean, and you can hear 10 things, but you can write one.
Right.
So that's been part of my process. I'll write something down and say, okay, and then I can tell when I'm in it, where I'm writing, um, like my penmanship changes a little, becomes a little more specific.
Right.
And so, but I would say with all of these voices, it's like one time that in one version of that does happen is if I'm in I'm doing platform reading for a lot of people, and it feels like I'm at an auction. I'm looking around and people are all throwing their hands up but they're people in spirit,
Right.
they're over here. Hey, my mom is here. Hey, I died from this. My wife is right there in the front. I mean, all of these things have occurred, and
Right.
so I really do go in with a great. I always protect myself. I
Good.
say prayers. I surround myself in the white light of love and divine protection, because in this open state you can be impacted. I don't know about because I thank God I haven't met a truly demonic possession, but I've seen and dealt with people who are oppressed. There's a difference between being oppressed and possessed.
Hmm.
And so I don't want either one, and I've been oppressed once where it changed my personality. I've been married a long time.
Hmm.
So we went into a house with a very bad history,
Hmm.
and where a serial killer had lived,
Oh,
and his spirit was still there. And it's a very famous case in Los Angeles. And um, Barb and I walked out, and this guy had killed, I don't know, we don't know how many women, well in excess of a dozen women.
dear.
And quite possibly dozens of women. And so I kind of left myself open to him, I guess, because when Barbara and I got home, that's my wife, we got into like, we usually don't have terrible screaming, you know, veins sticking out of your neck kind of fights. And we did. And then it was like, this seems out of character for us.
Mm.
Let's think about this. I mean, because we usually don't go there. It's not like I want to, you know.
Right.
And so we realized, okay, we just came out of an environment where the serial killer would kill a lot of women, bury them in pieces in the basement, and so when you're around that, it's like, oh, you know what? I'm sorry for being kind of an idiot, and I should have been more protected. And I've been in other places where like not good things have occurred.
Mm.
So the idea is you go in and you make it very clear to yourself and to whatever you're dealing with in spirit, that I'm playing for the light. I'm on the team I'm here for the light. I'm here to be of service to people who don't want to be oppressed. And then you can start to see who's here, what's here. I've done house clearings, and it's very interesting work. And so I like being able to, I mean, in all transparent, I do charge for readings, but if I'm called out to do an investigation where we're trying to help a family and help a group of people, then I don't charge for that, and I'll just go out and try to do something. Also, too, very often the people in spirit are our clients, as well as the people who are on the physical plane.
Right.
Because they may feel trapped, they may be confused, they may be longing for someone who hears them
Yeah.
and is willing to connect with them. Um, if you're in an environment where there may have been bad guys, quote unquote, people who were killers and
Yeah.
whatnot, but then there would also very possibly be victims. And so you want to be of service to help. I mean, and people who were criminal in life may have, quote unquote, seen the light, understand that they don't want to be here anymore. In fact, I found like a lot of quote unquote hauntings have to do with people who are afraid um, to deal with God. They were raised in a certain religious belief, and they're unaware of there being forgiveness. They might feel I did something unforgivable, or I'm a bad guy. There are people that will stay, just as you and I know people that do all the wrong things for the wrong reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you with her? Why are you with him? Why did you take that job? Why did you quit? All of that.
Right.
So it continues on the other side, unfortunately. I hate to bring it to everybody's attention.
Right. Wow.
If you keep picking the wrong person every time, you're not paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So they'll come and people. I mean, I've had what you would describe as criminals and murderers say, I was wrong. I asked for forgiveness. I mean, I'm not forgiving them. They're forgiving themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to the universe and saying, I want to, experience love and forgiveness. And so the universe tends to, sure, yeah, yes, come. They will always find, if they come to the other side with love and forgiveness and understanding that they need to recognize what they did and how it hurt other people, and to ask for forgiveness for it, where I tend to believe we are forgiven. Not to get into too much liturgical doctrine here, try to avoid that. It's all non-denominational, whatever your religion is, whatever your faith, whatever your belief system is.
Right.
If you really want to be forgiven and you feel like that you're asking to be forgiven, you'll be forgiven. Is my understanding.
Oh,
My understanding.
right on.
I'm just this guy.
I agree with you. I do. I feel the same way. I'm on the same page as that. Love and forgiveness, for sure.
Yeah. That's why we come here to learn, love, and to love, and a lot of that entails forgiveness. It's all kind of the thing that keeps us going.
100%. Do you feel the the sensation, I don't, pardon the vernacular I may use, are they sensations, feelings, thoughts? Do you feel a deeper connectedness through like psychometry versus just
Oh, I love
open?
psychometry.
Okay.
Just so you know, psychometry is it's the sense of touch, reading something through picking up an object, a ring, a bracelet. Someone, um, like if I'm working in a large event, I'll ask people to bring forward their objects on and lay them on a table, and I don't know who owns what or belongs to what or who, and I pick it up, and I immediately start to get messages. And the idea is that if you believe that we are energetic beings and you've seen aura photography, you see that we are not my skin, your skin is not the end of our energies. We tend to glow, emit, present. I imprint on my ring. If someone who's very comfortable with psychometry, they might hold my ring and go, "Oh, that guy. Oh, let me tell you what I hear. Oh my God. Look, he's nuts. No, there's all these people in his head. He's schizophrenic." No, not kidding. But I mean, but it really works. And it really is a tool of divination.
Hmm.
The tarot. You say tarot, I say tarot. That's called, never mind.
Just call the whole thing off.
And be sure to tip the waiters and waitresses, they're working hard tonight.
The 5 o'clock show is different than the 6 o'clock show. Be sure to come back.
Precisely. So, but just the idea that we all emit something and we all imprint, and that's why I think too that like a home can have an echo of someone who lived in it before. If you have something, let's say you lose your dad or your mom, and you hold their glasses, you might feel, of course, the sentimentality of your memories, but you may be feeling some of their energy that is still on the object itself, immersed in it, imprinted on it. I think that really does happen because it's the only way to explain some of the things that I'm able to hear. I mean, some of the stuff is funny. It's like, you just like I would see like I saw this little skinny, twirly, kind of a braided necklace like a little girl would wear. And I pick it up and I'm seeing home run, home run. I'm seeing someone hitting the ball like a softball or playing baseball. So whoever's worn this plays baseball a lot. And it turns out this great big hulking guy comes up. "Yeah, it's my niece's and she just played softball." It's like, oh, that's funny. Oh, I got a better one for you. I'm doing this event and all of these things are laying on a table, and one weird one stands out. It looks like a little doll about 6 inches tall, 7, something like that. And looks like the Cracker Jack doll, like the little sailor and the
yeah.
Yeah, that guy. You were just doing him perfectly.
Yeah.
And I pick him up and I hear surrounded by love. He's surrounded by love. Why is this little doll is surrounded by love? And then all of these like 6 or 7 women started screaming and hollering in the audience, like laughing, and it's like, anybody want to own this? And it's like, we all own that. We were taking turns putting him down our cleavage and taking selfies. Surrounded by love. I am not one to judge. I just realized it's like I'm turning shades of red on stage. It's like, yeah, sure. I'd say the same thing if I was in the same place as him. If he could talk. I think he just did. I'm surrounded by love. All right, good enough.
So many memories.
Oh, ba-dum-bum. This gentleman is playing the 8 o'clock The Late Show. Be sure to come back for him. You only get part of the routine in the first show. It's just as good in the second one.
There's a drink special.
Oh, crap.
So, I'm really enjoying this conversation. Gosh. Do you find that there are times where like maybe the gift isn't as strong as like other times and you have to,
Yeah, I mean, I one thing I try to rely on my process, which is, it's like I tend not to go in without being prepared, having my head in the right place. But there have been a few readings where I'll say it's like, okay, you know what, this isn't working, and I've given a few refunds to people. And I do think that if you want a good reading from someone, it helps to be open, and that I'm human. I've like gotten through partway through reading, and I realize I'm so tired, I can barely think. And I recognize that being like physically exhausted is not conducive to doing this work. I have to be relaxed but rested and aware. And so, I mean, really, those instances are very, very minor, or very, very rare for me. I mean, I also, one of the things too is when I do phone readings, I kind of, in some ways, they're easier for me because I'm not seeing people emote, get worked up, I mean, it's just like I appreciate what they're feeling. I want them to want to connect, but more than connecting with the person and reading for, say, the sitter who's in front of me, I want to be conscious of the spirit being who's there who's conveying messages. So I guess I've had people that are like stone faces, and it's just like, all right, there you're just not. I'm not getting it. I don't care. I'm going to keep going. I can only give what I get.
Right.
I can't. I'm gonna just keep going. And then at the end of it, they'll say, "That was amazing. Thank you, thank you." It's like, okay, cool. I didn't know if I was striking out. It's like if you start paying too much attention for the validation as you go, it
Right.
can be a distraction that gets in the way of delivering a good message. I'll ask, "Does this making sense for you?" Yes, no. If they say nothing, it's like, all right, then don't say a thing. I'm going to keep going.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
you paid. It's your hour.
Right.
I
Yeah.
did it this way. Your half hour. Let's go.
And do you feel like it's a stream of consciousness? Do you feel it's a stream of like at times, or sometimes it's not? Like, pardon my
Oh,
ignorance.
no, these are all great questions. Great, but look, sometimes I really do get into channeling where I'm just like, all right, I'm just gonna really almost feel like I do slump over. I kind of get quiet, and then I just try to keep up. Sometimes I read with my eyes closed. Sometimes I read with my eyes open. But it really, like, sometimes I'm just running to catch up. I tell people, you can record if you like, and I would recommend it, but if I fly through something and you want me to revisit it, I'll try to remember what I said, because I don't always remember what I say because I'm just kind of going as fast as I can. I think this is what it is. And they'll take notes and say, "Can you look at this? You mentioned this." And then, like, oh, okay, I can quote unquote back up the truck a little bit and see what I missed, you know. But it's and to a little expand on it, I see movies, I get your words, I see pictures. Sometimes I get fragrances. I feel like my feet are in the sand. I'll tell clients it's like your feet are in the sand. You're walking on a sandy beach, but there's pine trees, or whatever it is.
Right.
Funny, this one lady said, "I see you looking over into water, and then your glasses fall off." And so I didn't know if that was a metaphor or not. It turns out she was going to Kirks and Cape, in the Caribbean, Kirks and Catos, or I'm messing up the name. All right, I haven't been there. All right, but anyway, she told me that she remembered the reading, and then she looked over the side of the pool she was in, and they plunked in, and she just like, oh, yeah, it hit her, and then the other stuff was kind of hitting her too. And we get validations that come later that you don't know. It's like, doesn't make sense now. It's like, just write it down. It might make sense later. This one lady I read for, she had two sons. One of them, he died of a opioid overdose. He got he had been clean. He went back. He used something. He wasn't up to it anymore. It was too much. It killed him. I think actually it was fentanyl. It was like fake, and it killed him. And he was a young guy, but then he kept telling me to refer to his brother as the brain trust. The brain trust. Okay, that's I'm just saying, he said to call, he calls it the brain trust. She conveyed that message to her son, who was a college kid. And he goes, I was in a chat room with 4 friends, and they, like 2 days ago, and they were calling me the brain trust in this chat where there was nobody else. So it's like, and then he picked up on the brain trust. It makes me think that my brother was also there, as a listening in. I mean, how else would I? It was very direct. The brain trust. He's saying, and he said it wasn't like a common name for him. He just was doing some brainy work, and they called him that. That was interesting.
That is interesting, especially with those 2 words in particular, just the combination of those 2.
Sure. And
Wow.
and just it's like this guy was not. I mean, he was young and he passed too suddenly, and it hurt his family, but he was very conscious of wanting to make sure that they knew I did not commit suicide. It was not suicide. I didn't, because I mean, as terrible as it is to lose a son, a young teenage son, it the only thing that could possibly make it worse, possibly, is the idea that he may have taken his own life, or
Yeah.
daughter taking hers.
Right.
And it seems like that it's really tragic, not to get too off topic, but I have heard more than a couple young people who accidentally pass from overdoses. And and it's a recurring pattern where they get away from drugs, they're clean for a while, their immunity to it, their tolerance for it diminishes over time because they're getting clean. And then they go back to what they were using, and it kills them.
Right.
And it's just and it's just so tough on the families. People, like they always say, just one last time, and then it goes bad. And so in any case, it's usually really helpful for them to say he's sorry, it was an accident, he understands it, and he's okay now, or she's okay now. They're not being, again, like I was raised Catholic, it's against the rules to commit suicide. I understand that, but sometimes people do things because they're in so much pain.
Right.
And so that to explain of some, as much as I'm not the expert, I'm just this guy who hears things, and messages being conveyed to me that they're not being punished. They're learning, they're okay, they're aware of what you've done for them, and that they're continuing. Their consciousness survives the body. It's another phrase that comes to me a lot. Consciousness survives the body. For anyone who loses someone, they wonder, is it just quiet? I mean, by the way, a lot of people are so in grief that they're saying, I miss you, I miss you, miss you. But it's hard for someone in spirit to get a word in edgewise, because they're the person that person in spirit is trying to reach someone who is in great pain and is dealing with grief, and they can't find any quiet in their mind. And so people have said, just meditate and then you'll hear me, because I whisper. I don't yell. I can't compete with all of the noise. And that's why they do funny things. They'll play with lights. They'll move things. They'll do whatever they can in order to get your attention.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And do you feel maybe having gone through the lockdown part of the pandemic, was there a change in what you were feeling at all?
You know what? It made me realize that many people suffer or enjoy or miss the same things. There's a lot of depression out there. That's been a tough time to be single, because how do you meet someone if everyone is in a mask and you're not allowed to go out? I mean, how do you feel? How do you have a sense of trust? I'm going to meet someone new, and everything is slowed down or prevented almost. And so I think that, I really think that this whole thing is evil. I think there's an evilness behind it. I feel like that It's hurt people through depression, through death, through loss. I mean, every person I've literally, I'm not trying to brag. I'm just telling you that I read for people literally almost around the globe. I haven't read for people directly in China, but I've read um, in the Far East and in the Middle East and Europe and North and South America and Mexico, just Central. I've been, everyone has a comment about, is it going to end? Is it going to end? What does it really mean? And so I think it, in some ways, it opened my eyes to the idea that, I mean, you hear about it and you kind of know it, but then you run into it where you see so many of us have the same needs and wants. I want this. I want to be loved. I want to have someone. I want someone to recognize me. I want someone to know who I am. I want to feel like I belong. I want to be validated for the things I'm trying to do. Everybody, I want to take care of my kids. I want to trying to be a better person. I don't want to hurt someone. I want to do, that it's not universal, but there are people in every country of the world that I've dealt with that miss their mom, their dad, their kids. We all share this, and it kind of helps me, you know, look at people differently. And I hope that maybe just talking about this, other people might, come to realize that we so many of us miss and want and need the same things, and it can help you be a little more empathetic, a little more.
It's beautiful. I love that.
Thank you. It's
Do you,
just how it is. Me.
do you feel that you're able to, now that things are opening up a little bit more, do you feel like when it was during the lockdown, maybe you were getting more or less voices, or no?
You know what?
Same?
It was the same. It never stopped. And the reason is that people in spirit, they're not affected by.
Mm,
They don't have to get in the car to go see someone.
right.
And that the people who were, if anything, I would say my business may have picked up a little bit. I think people are missing the people they miss, maybe a little more, feeling a
Right.
little more isolated. I mean, I've dealt with people who were, it's like, I have to ask them, are you feeling really depressed? Do you want to hurt yourself? You should go to a suicide line.
Right.
My role here is to just, I'm here to help you connect with people and to maybe provide and to provide guidance as to what it is that is coming up next for you should you decide to pursue it. you
Right.
know and so that was something I've just I've talked to doctors. We talk about people being depressed. I've talked to depressed people, and so also to, if you do this work, just back to that, anyone who's listening or is considering it, be sure to, if you are an empath, and it's most likely that you have empathetic or empath tendencies, if you do this work, to keep yourself clean, to make sure that there are no energy suckers on you, and to just protect yourself. Otherwise, you can't be of any service to anyone else. In fact, it's one thing I would say too, Jay, is that doing this work encourages me to be somewhat dispassionate, like to
Mm,
be more of an observer, because if I get pulled into the pain and suffering that I'm being made aware of, I can't function in the same way as I could as if I was being kind of cool and calm about it. I mean,
mm,
it's every week there's someone who's lost the love of their life, the center of their universe, and uh, it's my job to convey it without coming apart.
right. That's got to be challenging.
It's as long as I'm focused on why I'm here and what I'm doing, I can manage it.
Mhm.
But there have been times where it's like, oh God, this is a rough night. It's like I talked to a couple people in a row, and I have to, like, I would tell you that my easy outlet, and I try to avoid it, and I do avoid it when I'm conscious, is I need a really tall old fashioned. I want a tumbler of bourbon. Thank you very much. And I recognize that fully. That's not. Hey kids, don't do that. Don't do what Uncle Mark just said. Don't do that. It's a bad plan. It sucks. You will have nothing good comes from a tumbler of bourbon and feeling sorry for yourself. Nothing. Don't do it, kids.
Don't do it. You heard it here first. Mark Christopher Nelson, not endorsing an old fashioned, but endorsing an old fashioned.
Do you have a big gulp old fashioned for me? Big gulp old fashioned. Those are 4 words that should never go together.
Oh,
and
man.
only bad happens. Okay.
Right on.
So, but in truth, it's like what makes me feel better. So I'll go out and just breathe a little air,
Right.
just clear my head and laugh. And try not to, just recognize that we're all trying to figure out something.
Mhm.
We're all trying to become. Hopefully, most of us are trying to become better people, and that's if you're thinking about that you're a long way towards where you probably want to go.
I couldn't agree more. It's definitely one of the things that I keep in the front of my mind is
Sure.
always trying to be a better person every day and learn from the things that I've done, correct those things, acknowledge that. I'll still make mistakes, but as long as I'm trying to move in a positive forward direction,
Mhm.
not hurt anybody, not hurt myself,
Well, I would think in doing your show too that you meet a lot of people that are opening your eyes and giving you a chance to absorb maybe something you didn't know or didn't expect.
100%. I think part of this too for me is just as much as a learning experience. I want to share thoughts and ideas and then learn from those and try and just, in my opinion, feel like that if we're all part of this consciousness or we're all part of this energy field where,
Mhm.
this time frame, especially now more than ever, how crucial it is for us to be able to have open dialogue and talk and shift into a loving, caring
Mhm.
paradigm.
What I would say too, like just I agree everything you said. I said I try to get people to pay attention to how you're feeling.
Mm,
Like if you're feeling stressed, one of people would rather uh, have a tumbler of bourbon or do something stupid rather than acknowledge I'm not comfortable right now and I don't know why. I'm feeling really there's something that's gnawing at me and I'm either unable to or unwilling to look at the cause of that. And so if you don't examine the things that are making you uncomfortable, you can't really address them.
mhm.
And uh, I mean, in a perfect world, not my world, but I try to be conscious of the things that it's like I've got a level of anxiety, pardon me, that is troubling me, and I can't put a finger on the cause. I talk to lots of people. People dealing with anxiety. It's irrational. It's real. It can be limiting. It can be painful. But to actively pay attention to what affects your moods and in part what makes you happy, what makes you sad, is a great start towards becoming more fulfilled and more calm and more this level of self-awareness. I mean, it's what you're always aiming for. That you want to be self-aware, but there's the difference between being self-aware and totally neurotic. But I mean,
Sure.
the idea that you can find a healthy place where you say, all right, I didn't enjoy that experience, or that person made me uncomfortable, or gosh, I was really happy in their company, and this worked out really cool. Just it's funny to me. It's not funny, but it's challenging when you think of how many people go around and it's like, I don't know what makes me happy.
Hmm.
I don't know what makes you happy. You don't know? Well, eh, congratulations. You're on the precipice of finding some really cool things out about yourself. So, be open to these feelings of what makes you happy and write it down. I actually went through a clinical depression, and one of my
Hmm.
steps in recovery was my psychiatrist said, "Hey, write down the things that make you happy. Keep a little notebook in your pocket. Pay attention to it." And that's why it's like I kind of preach this whole thing. It's like, start to pay attention to things that feel good to you and why. You know, um, seeing a little kid chase, run and throw a ball and laugh hysterically for no reason. It's like, okay, I was there once. What how can I maybe experience a little bit of that again? And then you start taking steps in good directions. And you start paying attention to things that give, add a little light to your day. And it's wonderful.
It really is. Do you feel that there are times when you're able to get into that state of happiness and joy, and you feel
Oh, yeah.
that joy, does that compound or help in any way with your gift that you have, in your
I think
opinion?
that's an interesting, I hadn't thought about it that way. But what I would say is that happiness can be a habit, that if you choose to look for something that makes you happy, and then you look to choose, you can put yourself in a place where you continually look for things that feel right, feel better for you, and then you start to pursue those. I think that at a psychic level, I understand. I wish I could say I'm all knowing and all seeing, and I never make mistakes. Oh, no, pardon me. See, that was for the people in the back rows. Okay.
Did you hear him? Okay, good. One more time for the people in the back.
But it's something you strive for, and so
Yeah.
I try to be conscious of it. I try to use, what I have, and everybody. My mom is funny. She has no idea how I developed this. She's like, says, "I know it's real. I know I see, but I'm like a stone, a rock. I don't hear a thing." It's like, well, you have other gifts, and thank God that you do. You took care of 6 kids, and then you took care
Wow.
of stepbrother. And I'm after my dad died when I was 11, my mom ended up marrying arguably his best friend, his best friend, and he had been divorced, and he came into. We went from having 6 of us to 8 of us
Wow.
in a not very big house. Hey, here's something you shouldn't do. Don't bring 8 kids to live in a house that's 1,600 square feet.
Wow.
It's not a good plan. And if the adults smoke and they close the windows in the winter, it's not good. Let them.
Surgeon General warning here.
Yeah, just put that in a black bar across, black box warning.
Right.
Do not force children. You will lose they will force you to smoke more.
Right. Yeah. That's it.
We were eight kids within 10 years of each other.
Wow.
So it's just insane. It's all of, and we got along pretty well. We bashed a few heads and we broke some things, but we managed to come out of childhood relatively intact.
That's awesome.
Kind of
So
thing.
is there any history of psychic abilities in your family that you've been able to trace back?
Actually,
Oh,
my dad, he died when he was 33.
Oh.
About a month before he died, he wakes up in the middle of the night and my mom's, "What's up?" He says, "If anything happens to me, George will be perfect for you." And that's the name George. Remember, I told you our friend George. George will be perfect for you. And then within 6 weeks, he was gone. And then Mom hadn't seen our Uncle George in a while. And God bless Uncle George, because he ended up coming along when all of us were starting to come off the rails and lose discipline and act out, with the idea that, Dad is gone. We don't know what to do. We don't know how we're going to eat. We don't know how we're going to live. Mom was, and then Uncle George showed up, and brought some reality to our lives and got us back on our feet, And so, great man. And anyway, it just it was. I don't even know how we got here. Forgive me, but it was just a really unusual experience, and I thank God that. By the way, my stepdad George, my first dad. I don't say they're both my dads. They both come and talk to me, and I need advice sometimes, and I get advice. And I encourage anyone that's lost a dad, a mom, a friend, a sibling, if you want to talk to them, give yourself a little quiet time. You can get to talk to them. You just have to learn to find that quiet.
Love that. When my mom was a kid, my mom was 15 and her father passed away.
Oh.
And he was a military man. He was driving home, going to surprise the girls for Christmas, and had a very bad auto accident. And they brought him to the hospital. He didn't make it. They were trying to get the girls to go see him, and he passed the day after Christmas. And so my mom never got to see him. And she was about 15, going on 16. And she remembers, as a child, she remembers being able to see him occasionally and have conversations with him. And growing up, hearing those things, I was always fascinated by it. And then our grandfather, she called him both her dad, Grandpa Al, he came into my grandmother's life. And again, it was like she saw both of these individuals as her dad. And when Grandpa passed, he had an experience before he passed that he talked about, and saw my cousin who had passed years ago with his mom, who was there visiting. So, it's always been in my family to talk about these things. It's not something that's so taboo, raised, Roman Catholic, but not really devout, but having those things, there's some certain taboos there. But my mom was always a believer. I lost my mom back in February, and she's passed, and it's been the most challenging thing for me. And I talk to her daily. I haven't heard anything, but I know she's listening, and I know she's with me. But I also am guilty of I misuse.
There's nothing. It's part of being human, and that all I can suggest is that maybe find that 7-minute vacation, 3-minute vacation, and work your way up to it.
Yeah.
And also too, she may be talking to you, and you may be just telling yourself, "Oh, that's me." Of course, she's telling me she loves me.
Right.
Quit editing. Don't edit it. What do you think she's going to want to tell you when she sees you the first 30 seconds? I love you. I miss you. I know how your life is. I know, and I'm proud of you.
Right.
You don't stop being mom or dad just because you cross the veil.
Yeah.
So trust it when you hear something.
I do. I
And
definitely
write
do.
it. Try writing it. See, what I like about the writing is that it causes you to slow down a little. So, and then, once you slow down, you can maybe soak up a little bit more information, because it can be wildly exciting and nerve-wracking if you just kind of like, it's still wonderful to know that you can feel them, and if you have something of hers, a pair of glasses, a scarf, anything, little memento, throw that on your shoulder, or feel it, a glove, whatever if she wore a ring, put it in your pinky and see, relax and see what comes through.
Absolutely. I swear, I've had those feelings of her presence. And it was, within the first couple of weeks after she had passed. And I'll never forget those feelings or those sensations, just feeling her presence, and that kind of knowingness that I felt like I was with her. And it's the only way I can explain it, if that makes sense. And you question, is that my mind playing tricks on me? Is it me wanting it so badly? But I believe.
And you're doing the right thing. You are.
Yeah. It's hard when we miss people, and you must encounter so many folks that, come to you for some closure or maybe some, some guidance. And that's a burden to carry. And
Well, I feel blessed, truly. I
yeah.
mean, this is a blessing. It's also, I would substitute a burden for responsibility. I
Oh, I
think
like that.
responsibilities are things that you get to have if you do certain things correctly. You have the responsibility of taking care of yourself, paying your mortgage, taking care of some people you love, being good to the people that you love. Those are responsibilities, and this is too. And I try to honor it, as best I can.
I
As
love
best I
that. What advice would you give to individuals? I know you touched upon this a little earlier, but if someone's trying to be open to those things, I know you had said, find that 7-minute vacation, take time, meditate, really just center yourself. Eh, How about protecting themselves? When you said you've been in environments to protect
Yeah.
themselves. What are some things you might do to protect yourself?
Well, I do say, again, my Our Father's, Hail Marys. I actually, I mean, even for people who aren't particularly Christian or whatever your faith is, Jewish. I have so many Jewish friends who do this with me too.
Mhm.
But there is, um, I say a prayer, and it says, if your prayer, whatever your prayer is, I say a prayer of Michael the Archangel. I say, and I would say, whatever your faith is, let uh, let that prayer inform the protection that you want. I mean, work with Wiccan people. It doesn't matter. We're all rivers lead to the ocean. All religions are rivers, and the ocean is God. And so, um, find that place where you feel better, but have faith in it, because sometimes your belief can be challenged. You know, make sure that it's very sobering when you see something that's not good. And just also to anyone getting started, we can maybe wrap on this, that if you do get and when you get started, you have to protect yourself. You can't leave. I hate Ouija boards, I'll be honest with you. Those things, that to me is like the proverbial leaving the door open in a bad neighborhood. Some people are great with them. God bless, go do it. But
Mm.
I would just say prayers. Be very conscious that not all spirits are loving. Some are negative and controlling and oppressive. They
Mm.
want to oppress you. Also, too, um, I don't do readings. I don't drink and divine. You know,
Oh, that's great.
don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Someone's gonna get hurt.
Oh, that's a hashtag in of itself.
Oh, don't drink and divine,
Don't drink a divine.
because you don't know who you're gonna bump into, and they may not be what you think. They may
Right
not
on.
be what you think. So I try to be conscious, and so protect yourself, um, and don't be too hard on yourself. People think that I'm going to go out there and it's like I'm going to get great messages and I'm going to become. It's like, this is a walk. It's a path. It takes a while. Be patient with yourself. And you'll start. You know what? It's almost like there are people who are great singers, and some of them, a small percentage, probably born hitting every note right out of the gate,
Hmm.
power, range. But for the rest of the people, it's a process of learning how to recognize the voice and to refine it. You know,
Mm.
so if you start out, you get a couple of messages that are useful. Um, Remember how that feels. Did that voice feel like you talking to you, or was it something else? So I would encourage people to just say, get used to hearing that different voice, and then try to repeat it. Give yourself that opportunity to get better at it, and you'll grow. You'll become stronger and clearer, and then maybe you can help people.
I think that's great advice, especially for anyone listening to that might be interested in it, or might also possess some gift of their own.
Yes,
Uh, Before we wrap, do you happen to have any reading recommendations that you would encourage folks to check out?
sure. let's see. One of my, I met him. He's a great guy. John Holland is really a great psychic medium. He's in upstate New York, I think, or somewhere in Massachusetts.
Okay.
Met him. I think he's great. Suzanne Wilson is the real deal. Those two right off the bat are the real deal. There's a couple of people I've met that are just really wonderful. Molly Morningstar up in Wisconsin is the real deal. And they, I don't know if Molly has written a book, but certainly John Holland has written a number of them. He's legit. I actually was very inspired by reading some books by John Edward to begin with. I found his experiences resonated with me. I don't know. I think he's legit. I've seen him do some great work in person. I can't vouch for any one person's. I just know I've worked with, say, John Holland a couple of times. There's other great folks out there. And I would say that if you're thinking that you want to do this, read some books to see how they resonate. There's one title of a book that I love. We Are Their Heaven. Alison Dubois, who was the basis for that TV series, I think, Medium. Alison Dubois is out in Arizona. She's great. And just in terms of spiritual stuff, Dr. Herb Puryear, Puryear, is also an amazing writer. He founded the Logos Church. It's based on the teachings of Edgar Cayce.
Oh, okay.
Cayce was an amazing, wonderful human. Is an amazingly gifted being, spiritual person, and I've loved reading about him. And Herb is one of the leading experts on him. If you want to learn about that.
Awesome. Wow. Well, Mark,
if anyone wants to find me, can I tell people where to?
Yeah, I was going to suggest, please give us some plugs, please.
All right, here's a shameless plug. If you want to find me. Jay, you know. You can find me at marknelsonmedium.com. That's marknelsonmedium.com. And I have my reading schedule there. You'll see other tidbits. You can email me if you have questions, and I'm happy to be of service. I'm happy to do what I can, and that's where I am right now.
I love that. And in closing, I think it's great that my producer George, his name is George Richter. And before we got on camera, you were telling me a story. Would you mind sharing real quickly?
Sure. Well, I get a lot of emails, and I don't always, snag all of them. I mean, I try to get to most of them because it just seems to be the polite thing to do. And then I saw George Richter, and it's like, oh my God, I thought it said George Tricker. My father's my stepdad, my dad. I just have to say he's my dad. George Tricker is the name of my dad, and he wasn't here. He's crossed. So when I saw that, I just like, ding. I have to look at that, and then I trusted my feelings. Like, I feel really good having that message from Dad, and then George turns out to be a great guy. Hello, George.
Hey, George.
Hey, George. How you doing, buddy? And so it was just a wonderful little connection, and I appreciated it very much. And so that's how you and I came to hang out.
I love that.
I can come back if you want me back. I'd love to come back.
I would love to have you back, sincerely, with all my heart.
Well, Jay, it was a pleasure meeting you. You're a fun guy.
Oh, thank you. Mark Christopher Nelson. And there you have it. I thoroughly enjoyed my conversation and laughs with Mark Christopher Nelson. I can't thank you enough, Mark, for just being on Into the Deep. I truly appreciate you and what you're doing for other people. What a fascinating story, and so many things that we learned. We learned some tips for some folks who are maybe trying to develop their own psychic abilities on how they can protect themselves in certain situations, or maybe even how to quiet their mind and take that 7-minute vacation. I think we could all benefit from that 7-minute vacation, regardless of psychic endeavors or not. But what a great tool to use to quiet the mind and listen to what's around us. We also heard some great reading recommendations. We heard about We Are Their Heaven by renowned medium and best-selling author Alison Dubois. We also heard about the author John Holland. Some books by John Holland would be Spirit Whisperer, Born Knowing, and Bridging Two Realms, amongst many other books. We heard about Suzanne Wilson. Suzanne Wilson's best-selling book, Soul Smart, is one that I still need to check out. We also heard about Dr. Herbert Puryear, Puryear. Dr. Puryear's 2020 book, A Psychology of the Soul, From the Infinite into the Finite, is one I still need to check out personally. Hit that like button and let us know that you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to subscribe to the channel as well as hit that notification bell so you can find out about new episodes that are coming out. And you can also find us on Instagram at itd.jcosta, as well as on Twitter at itd_jcosta. So, until next time, take care of one another and keep thinking for yourself.